Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy, and welcome to this week's Team Kentucky Update. This week, we'll start where we always start, with Kentucky's booming economy and more announcements about how we're going to move our families forward together. Since the beginning of my administration, we've now announced over 1,200 new location or expansion projects for a record $43 billion in new investment and over 63,200 new jobs. Today, we've got a couple of additional announcements contributing to this boom. Earlier today, we highlighted exciting news for the state's technology sector. Casa Innovations, a high-growth research and technology firm, announced that they're going to relocate their corporate headquarters to Bowling Green. At this site, they will also launch a strategic research and development partnership with Western Kentucky University. The nearly $270,000 investment will create 15 great paying Kentucky jobs. The project is a great example of what collaboration and strategic partnerships can do. I want to thank Casa Innovations for their belief in this state and for choosing the Commonwealth as their new Kentucky home. Last week, I also shared that Fiscal announced plans to relocate their headquarters from southern Indiana to Louisville. Lieutenant Governor Coleman joined them to celebrate their over $5 million investment, which will create over 194 good-paying jobs. This company just announced plans to help their fellow Kentucky business owners. On September 16th, the company is hosting an AI summit in Louisville at Lynn Family Stadium to equip business owners and executives with insights, strategies, and connections they might need. I want to thank Fiscal for believing in our great state and our workforce and everything it has to offer. We also saw exciting new momentum in Kentucky's Speed to Market initiative, as we announced another $700,000 in state funding has been approved through our product development initiative. This is how we improve in the next site for the next major business. It's that idea that every time we announce a business, yeah, we've got those jobs coming, but that we've got to do extra work so we can get the next one and the next one and the one after that. These announcements include site development and building development in the counties of Breckenridge, Washington, Kenton, and Todd. Our site development and speed to market initiatives are crucial to our long-term success. They are how we're able to tell people that we will get them up and running months before any other state. Last week, we built on these initiatives by launching speedtomarket.ky.gov. This one-stop shop offers businesses of any size the tools they need to start a business, expand, or relocate in Kentucky. With all the tools we've created, we're making it easier and faster to bring your business to your new Kentucky home. All right, since I took office, I've been committed to making Kentucky fiscally responsible. What that really means is being responsible with Kentuckians' hard-earned tax dollars. And it means balancing a budget every single year. And I'm proud to say we've done that and then some. Together, we've celebrated the 3 largest budget surpluses in Kentucky's history. In each, we brought in more revenue than projected, but we were also able to provide services at a lower cost than originally planned. Because of that, we've secured a record rainy day fund. And all 3 national bond rating agencies have upgraded Kentucky's credit rating. That's the first time that's happened in state history. That's a big deal. When they did these bond rating upgrades, and these are some of the most sophisticated analysts on planet Earth, they highlighted our strong economy, which again has now reached over $43 billion in new investment. But they also highlighted how my administration has been able to respond quickly and effectively to change. Our proactive approach to all these areas has helped position the Commonwealth for success. It's why we're in such a strong position. I've been receiving regular updates on our revenue and our projections for the current fiscal year. And there is concern that there will be a shortfall this year in the total revenue collected. There are 2 reasons for this. First, federal tariffs and the uncertainty surrounding these tariffs are directly impacting our spending and our economic activity. Second, the cut to the income tax rate is going to cost the Commonwealth $359 million for this fiscal year, representing 1/2 of the annual value. That rate cut is effective January 2026. And remember, our fiscal year will be the first 6 months of 2026. Noting all this, I asked my state budget director, John Hicks, to formally request that the consensus forecasting group meet and provide a new forecast. He has made that request, and the group will convene on September the 16th to make an official revision in the current year's revenue estimates for both the general fund and the road fund. This will tell us if we have a shortfall, and if we do, we will immediately start taking steps to address it. Let me say I expect a shortfall, but I also expect that we can effectively and we will effectively manage it. More to come when we get the response from the consensus forecasting group, and then we will announce any steps that we may need to take because states, unlike the federal government, must balance their budget, and we're already making plans on how we might do that if the consensus forecasting group projects the expected shortfall. All right, last week, we also got some really good news. After joining a lawsuit with 23 other states and the District of Columbia to challenge the Trump administration's defunding and dismantling of AmeriCorps, I'm proud to share we won. Now, the remainder of the $9 million in funds appropriated by Congress to Kentucky to run AmeriCorps will be restored. AmeriCorps and Serve Kentucky make our people, communities, and country stronger by providing food, housing support, education, mental health services, and more. It was illegal and short-sighted for the President's administration to try to dismantle this important federal agency. The win marked a good day for our Commonwealth and country as we once again see that the law and what's right for the American people can rise above any challenge. This is the latest step I've taken to ensure Kentucky receives funding that it was promised, that was allocated and appropriated by Congress, that follows a law that Congress put on the books and typically that the Commonwealth of Kentucky has a contract with the federal government over. In June, I joined leaders from 23 other states in the District of Columbia to challenge the Trump administration over its unlawful decision to freeze $6.8 billion in education funding appropriated by Congress to the U.S. Department of Education. That included $96 million owed to Kentucky. We won that one too, and the funds were soon released. These funds aren't about Democrat or Republican. They're about the federal government keeping its word and following a law that Congress passed. Other challenges I filed include in February, I joined a lawsuit with 23 other states to successfully stop the Federal Office of Management and Budget from freezing federal funds that Kentucky was awarded and the Congress had appropriated. In April, I joined 23 other states and sued to protect $11 billion of public health funding that the federal government had terminated despite Congress having appropriated the money, including $148 million obligated to Kentucky. In August, I joined the lawsuit with other states to demand funds from the FEMA BRIC program to be released. This program is about building resiliently. It's about making sure the next time we're hit by a tornado or a flood, we see less loss, we see more resiliency. These are important funds, and we, having been hit by 14 federally declared natural disasters, know it more than anyone. Along with fighting to protect Kentucky dollars in court, I and my administration have repeatedly sent letters to federal agencies to remind them of their contractual obligations, and those letters have been able to open up significant federal funding that otherwise wasn't coming in. Another area we've challenged the Trump administration is on funding for our EV infrastructure. Kentucky is the EV battery production capital of the United States. With announcements from Ford, SK On, AESC, Ascend, and more, Kentuckians are the workforce powering the future of electric vehicles. And I'm committed to making sure that if we can build a battery in Kentucky, we should be able to charge it all over Kentucky. That means building out infrastructure across our state to support EV charging stations. To help with that, Kentucky was appropriated more than $69 million by Congress through the NEVI program. And we're leading the nation in using those funds to build out EV charging stations. Currently, the Trump administration is threatening $32 million of our appropriation. But as I've said before, when Congress makes us a promise, when the federal government gives us their word, I'm going to make them keep it. Whether that's a Democratic administration or a Republican administration, when they make us a promise, when Congress passes a law and makes an appropriation, when we have a contract with the federal government, I'm absolutely going to enforce it, and we are going to make sure that we implement that program here in Kentucky. So on August 6th, I announced that Kentucky was joining 19 other states in the District of Columbia in challenging this unlawful freeze. So we're going to keep fighting. And in the meantime, we're going to celebrate the progress we're making. Progress like the big step forward we celebrated last week with opening 2 new EV charging stations at the Loves in Grayson and in Sparta. This means we have 5 new stations open through this program alone, along with many that have been built out in the private sector. More will soon follow and include all regions of the state as Kentucky moves forward with 46 fast charging stations from 11 developers. We're going to keep fighting for these funds, and we know electric vehicles are a big part of the future. We want to make sure they're welcomed in Kentucky because we have tens of thousands of jobs in the EV sector, and we're going to make sure that we support them. Today, we have Dr. Stack with us to give another update on our Healthy Kentucky Home Challenge. Dr. Stack? Part of that's drinking enough water.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, Team Kentucky. This month, we continue our journey to a healthier Kentucky, promoting clear and attainable goals to achieve better health and wellness by eating at least 2 servings of fruits or vegetables every day, exercising at least 30 minutes 3 times per week, and engaging with others to stay socially connected. During the month of September, our Healthy Kentucky Home focuses on obesity. Obesity is defined as having a body mass index greater than 30. The body mass index, or BMI, gives healthcare providers a standard way to gauge stored fat within the body. BMI is a calculated measure of your weight relative to your height. By calculating the BMI, healthcare professionals can estimate an individual's health risks related to excess fat. If a person's BMI is essentially between 25 to 30, they are considered overweight, and a BMI measurement of over 30 is considered obese. In a recent survey, 32% of Kentucky adults reported being overweight, and an additional 38% of Kentucky adults reported being obese. Additionally, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, nationally, 1 in 5 children and 2 in 5 adults struggle with obesity. Obesity is a complex and costly chronic disease with many contributing factors. However, if you struggle with your weight, there is good news. By incorporating simple and achievable lifestyle changes into your daily routine, you have the power to reduce your weight and reach your full potential. To help manage your weight, it's important to maintain a balanced diet. A good weight management meal plan includes a variety of healthy foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and low-fat dairy. It also includes a variety of protein foods such as lean meats, poultry, eggs, nuts, and seeds. Your diet should also be low in added sugars, sodium, saturated and trans fats, and should stay within your daily calorie needs. To learn how to create a healthy meal plan that works for you, be sure to visit www.myplate.gov, so it's www.myplate.gov, or visit the Our Healthy Kentucky Home website at ourhealthykyhome.ky.gov. Along with diet, regular physical activity is essential for maintaining a healthy weight and can help reduce the risk of obesity-related conditions such as heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and more. You don't need special skills or equipment to stay active. Everyday activities like walking your dog or using the stairs can boost your health. It's important to try a variety of different activities to find ones you really enjoy. If you like an activity, you're more likely to stick with it. Anything that gets you moving around, even for a few minutes at a time, is a healthy start to getting fit. It's also essential to be socially engaged on your weight loss journey. Engaging with others can significantly aid in weight loss through social interactions and support systems. Building and maintaining relationships can provide encouragement and enhance your motivation during weight loss efforts, creating a sense of accountability and encouragement. Surrounding yourself with supportive friends and family can help you stay accountable and help you maintain a healthy lifestyle. To learn more about obesity or about healthy habits you can incorporate into your daily routine, be sure to visit the Our Healthy Kentucky Home campaign website at ourhealthykyhome.ky.gov. Join the Our Healthy Kentucky Home campaign and journey today, where we are working together to ensure that every Kentuckian achieves better health and their full potential. Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Stack for continuing the Our Healthy Kentucky Home series. I think it's important. I think it's important for two reasons. One, we care about every single Kentuckian. We want every Kentuckian to be as healthy and happy as possible. But second, we got to have a strong workforce in Kentucky. And a healthier workforce is a better workforce that attracts more employers, that pay higher wages, that help all of us get closer to that American dream. So, folks, I hope you're tuned in. I hope you're getting some good tips. We can all be a little bit healthier. Dr. Stack even has me eating the fruits and vegetables every day now. Next, we want to highlight a success story. It is Recovery Month in Kentucky, a time where we put a spotlight on the work being done to help Kentuckians who are battling addiction. One of those programs is our Recovery Housing Program. In 2023, we awarded more than $300,000 in funding from this program to the Haven Ministries, operating a recovery home in the Portland neighborhood of Kentucky. This facility is a 5-bedroom unit which can serve up to 9 women at a time who are recovering from addiction. These women live there until they obtain stable housing. Programs like these help us fight the addiction epidemic, an epidemic that arose in our lifetime and that we have a responsibility to end in our lifetime and to not leave to our kids and to our grandkids. We have a video from Esther Lyon Blankenship, Executive Director of the Haven Ministries, about the success of this project.
I am Esther Lyon Blankenship, Executive Director and founder of the Haven Ministries back in 2014. We first started Cup of Joy here in the Portland neighborhood and have since grown. That was in 2014, and now we're a mini campus, and in particular we offer services in the recovery arena. Today we're in our women's recovery home, the new dawning women's recovery home, and next to me is Carrie Welsh. She is our resident leader, and we are here because we are so grateful that we obtained funds to make this possible through DLG. Addiction, as we know, has greatly impacted neighborhoods throughout Kentucky, and the west end of Louisville certainly is no exception. Addiction wrecks and ruins everything it touches. I know, I've been there, and has Carrie. So
Yes.
has Carrie and many other individuals that we minister and work with. But there is hope. There are wonderful, fulfilling lives following addiction, and that is our passion. And so we thank you for being part of what we do. And thank you for funding this beautiful home, and we have some exciting things we're expecting to come in the near future. Thank you once again.
Well, thank you to Esther for her great work and for sharing her story of triumph over addiction. It is important that we highlight this work to remind Kentuckians struggling with addiction that they don't have to walk that path alone. Last month, I announced over $2 million from the Recovery Housing Program. This is going to 3 projects for housing in Louisville, in Fulton County, and in Martin County. And tomorrow, we will proclaim September as Recovery Month. I'd like to remind people that asking for help is never a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. And we have more resources in Kentucky to help you right now than ever before. Listen, the stigma is no longer there, or it shouldn't be. I remember 10 years ago being at recovery rallies, being at treatment centers, and you'd see 10 or 15 people. Tomorrow, we will have hundreds. I know that there are people out there that are suffering from addiction that feel alone, but you are not. You are loved, and there are people ready to help you. We also launched a new searchable website if you've been through treatment and need that extra help in recovery to find good recovery housing. It is findrecoveryhousingnow.ky.org. And if you need any other bit of hope, just remember Kentucky is one of the only states that has had 3 straight years of decreases in drug overdose deaths, with a whopping 30+% decrease in those deaths last year. Healing is possible. Treatment works. Recovery resources are there. So if you need help, just please ask. Speaking of helping, I want to continue to highlight our tornado recovery efforts in Western Kentucky. I made a promise more than 3.5 years ago that we would not stop, that we would keep showing up until every home and every life was rebuilt. That was a promise, it wasn't just me personally making in the Commonwealth, but all the local leaders and everyone who was there at that moment of intense devastation. This week, I visited Princeton and Mayfield to hand over keys to new homes. Both homes are for single mothers and their kids whose houses were destroyed in 2021. The events are always special. I visited the mayor in Princeton and Mayor Onan in Mayfield. We joined the team from the Hope Initiative, which has now built 55 homes in Western Kentucky, just that group alone for survivors. Both homes were built using the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Funds. In total, funds from that Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund have now built 250 homes across Western Kentucky. In the next 30 days, we're also expected to break ground on nearly 300 rental units in this region. That includes 66 units in Mayfield, 48 units in Dawson Springs, and 180 units in Bowling Green. That's part of last year's announcement of 953 units across the tornado-affected areas, the largest affordable housing announcement, we believe, in Kentucky's history. Every Kentuckian deserves the security of a safe home where they can build memories with those they love the most. And they deserve a government that never quits, that always continues after one of these natural disasters, knowing the last family we hand keys to is just as important as the first. And as we sat out in the blazing heat, especially in Mayfield, we remembered that very first home that we broke ground on, how cold it was that day. But Mayor Onan said it right. The weather never stops us from doing the right thing. And when the weather inflicts harm on us, it's our job to stick together and to do the right thing each and every time. I want to say I'm proud of these two families and their resiliency. I'm also proud of Kentuckians who have stuck with these tornado survivors every day, every week, and all of the years. We had a big crowd in Mayfield. You know, we're 200 plus homes in for Mayfield alone, but everyone is there celebrating the good work and committing to continuing it. I also want to thank the Hope Initiative for caring not just about our Kentucky families, but our American families. They are now headed to Georgia to do work for where that hurricane hit Georgia. I got to meet the mayor from that town. In fact, the home in Princeton was built by a company in that mayor's hometown. And I could tell him that the Hope Initiative were amazing partners that cared, that live out the ministry of Jesus Christ through helping absolutely everyone, some of the best partners that we've had. And finally, this week's team, Kentucky All-Stars, they come from a really special story out of Muhlenberg County. Scott Johnson is a veteran who was recently diagnosed with lung cancer. So he decided to do something he always wanted to do, travel across the country by motorized bike. On his journey, his bike broke down in Muhlenberg County, where he met a friend of mine named Crystal Chappell. Crystal rallied the community and got 28 donors to raise over $1,000 to purchase a brand new bike so he can continue his journey across the country. This is truly what Team Kentucky is all about. In this instance, helping a stranger, but a stranger who had a very important mission. This is the parable of the Good Samaritan, where you're picking up somebody that you've never met off the ground and saying, let me help you to move forward. So a big thank you to everybody in Muhlenberg County, especially for taking care of our veterans that have sacrificed so much for keeping us safe. So to Crystal and all the donors who pitched in to make this happen, you are this week's Team Kentucky All-Stars. Knowing you, I'm not surprised at all. You care about the people around you, and you're a great example. And to Scott, we wish you the best in your journey. Make sure you stay safe on that motorized bike. With that, we will open it up. We have 3 journalists in studio, and I think 5 on the line. We'll start with Karen.
Governor, I have one quick note, one for Dr. Stagg. Yesterday, the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee advanced the Fixing FEMA Act. And what are your thoughts on that? And for Dr. Stagg, Secretary Kennedy is before Congress today. There's a petition asking him to be removed regarding his position on vaccines. Would you be willing to comment on that? Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll start with the second question. Secretary Kennedy should not be Secretary of HHS. He lacks qualifications, and his guidance is dangerous. These vaccines have eliminated things like measles until now, when bad information is out there. If we follow through with his guidelines, it'll be the country welcoming back measles, mumps, smallpox, polio. I mean, those are terrible decisions that fly in the face of science. Listen, when you put your hand on a Bible and you swear to do these jobs, you got to do them for the benefit of the American people. And this person is dangerous in that job. I don't know that we ought to be surprised. This is somebody who put a dead bear in the back of their car and then staged something in Central Park on it, put a whale head on the top of their car. The car keeps coming up. And recently swam in an unsafe area with one of his grandchildren. I mean, this is a person who is wholly unqualified to be secretary. Did I cover it all? Okay. Yeah, I'll have Dr. Stack up to talk about how critical vaccines are right after this. The other question, because I got rolling on that one.
The other one was about the committee that met yesterday.
Yeah, we're reviewing this new FEMA Act. For me, anything that helps our people at a time of natural disaster is welcome. But I also want to make sure that this isn't a federal government pushing costs on communities that can't afford them after a natural disaster. I did see a piece in there that appears to restore hazard mitigation, that makes it not necessarily optional because the current administration, for instance, hasn't approved it in the March flooding, in the April flooding. What that means is that those victims in the April flooding in eastern Kentucky can't get that buyout to then make a down payment on one of the homes on higher ground. I mean, we've actually got a really ambitious, elegant solution where people won't have to go through this again, but we need hazard mitigation to get there. It does appear to be bipartisan. I have seen some good provisions of it, but I want to analyze all of it because, as you all know, we've been through natural disasters more than anybody else. We know about how FEMA operates on the ground, probably better than anybody else. If it gets more money into the hands of our families, then good. If it complicates or lessens that, then I'm going to speak up. Dr. Stack on vaccines.
So thank you, Governor. And Karen, on vaccines, vaccines are safe. Vaccines prevent disease. Vaccines are proven science. There is no dispute among credible physicians and scientists that vaccines are one of the most important innovations humans have ever had to ensure that preventable illness is prevented, that people can live longer, healthier lives. And I think it is a tragedy. And I think on top of being a tragedy, it's negligence to undermine the public's confidence in something that has been proven for so long to be so helpful to keep us safe.
And I'm going to keep going. We all lived through a pandemic together. We all lost way too many people. And the fact that we've now got an administration that is removing funding meant to help us do better in another pandemic, and it is now trying to muddy the waters about safe vaccines that have prevented pandemics since they came in is exactly what our American government should not be doing. Our American government's supposed to keep us safe. Our president's talking about that in other ways, but the actions of Secretary Kennedy put us in danger. And listen, anybody who has to fire every single expert that's supposed to advise on something to get their way doesn't have a very good way. All right, Carolina.
Governor, just really quickly, do you mind giving me some of your thoughts on sports betting? The anniversary is coming up, but then my primary question for you, of course, is about that podcast deal that was announced today. According to the press release, you'll now be able to reach almost 33 million people. That's a very large national audience. Is it important for you to reach people outside of Kentucky? Why? And then, of course, as all of this is happening, there's that speculation about whether you're going to run for president. I know you're asked this every few weeks, but where do you stand on that?
Okay, that is 3 questions, but I'll answer them all. Sports betting I think is going really well in Kentucky. What it showed us is a whole lot of people were betting, let's call it unlawfully before, but now have a system where it is regulated, where it is tracked, where we can step in when people have problem gambling issues. I've actually talked to people. I've been at baseball games where someone says, I've been locked out of the system in Kentucky. So there are those safeguards in place. It's creating a lot of revenue. and certainly I think is operating at a level that we all ought to be proud of, being able to institute it faster than most states, but having learned from all the other states about the right things to have in place. Second question was on the Andy Beshear podcast, which is not done in my official capacity. And I want to make sure I first offer that I didn't bring this up, nor would I, in my official capacity. I think answering a question about it, just like I do about my personal life or about politics, though, is certainly within limits. I think that's the little podcast that could is going national. And I think it's because Sirius XM saw that a common sense, common ground, get things done type of voice is needed in our country right now. This shouldn't signal to anybody that I'm looking at any other job, just that I'm trying to speak reason into chaos. And I'm trying to give people a place they can come to process. I mean, right now, a lot of people feel like the world is out of control. They feel that it's chaotic. And how do you deal with all that? In many ways, like the feelings of anxiety during the pandemic, the way we structure the podcast is about trying to help people know about the issues, talk about the issues in a conversation among friends, and then hopefully to feel a little lighter and a little more positive moving forward, ready to face the world. Really excited that it's going to reach a bigger, broader audience, because I think people are hungry to push the politics out, to talk about a lot of things like jobs and family and faith, sometimes sports, healthcare that shouldn't be political at all, but have been politicized. And so I hope that this is an opportunity to maybe even take a breath out as a country, to reset, to come back together, to turn down the temperature, and then to worry less about right and left, and instead just worry about moving forward. All right, Darnell.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time again on the podcast. What does it do to have actors come on the podcast? And I think you even had Mark Cuban come on. How does that enhance it?
Well, this podcast is not meant for just Democrats. It's meant for all Americans, and it's not meant to just be politics. When you think about a conversation among friends, you're going to talk about what's going on that day, but then you're going to talk about the next college football game or pro football game that's coming up, the movies that you're watching, something special that's happened with your families. I mean, in my conversation with my friends who are on it, who helped start the podcast, we talk about the two of them have just sent their first and oldest child to college and what that's like. So I think it creates an open and a welcoming environment where hopefully people of different views and different interests can come together. And that's what Sirius XM is about. They're a platform that you can choose between all different types of music or places that play them all different types of views and places that discuss them all. So we've had Mark Cuban, we've had Steve Zahn, we've had a lot of other individuals on. Some of my favorite are the CEOs that come on, that talk about business and where they see the country going that way. So we want to create opportunities where people can come on, it not be political at all, and then other opportunities where we will talk about those major issues. And we hear funny stories. Amy Klobuchar's story about the turkey that always comes from Minnesota that was going to be pardoned by the president, that got out in a press conference in Minnesota and attacked the press, and the White House wouldn't take it, and thus it became Thanksgiving dinner. That's just one of the best stories I've heard from somebody. So in the end, I hope mainly people enjoy it and it helps them get through their day.
Do you think it boosts their national profile? Somebody in Minnesota who does not know you or a voter in Hawaii or California?
I think that the podcast getting picked up by SiriusXM absolutely takes my voice to a much more national level. But the reason that I want to do that isn't for some decision in the future. It's that I think this country desperately needs to turn down the temperature and to focus more on common sense, common ground, and getting things done. And so with this platform, that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. I love this country, and this country needs to heal. There's been way too much division, way too much creating an us versus a them. And maybe we can take some of the things we've done in this state to lessen that and push it out to the rest of the country.
Sir, if I make two more questions, the status of medical cannabis.
Yeah.
Marijuana. In the 9th month of the year, sir.
Yeah.
We still don't have a dispensary, brick and mortar, all over the place. What's the status
Yeah.
of that? When do you foresee we
The medical marijuana program is moving forward. The challenges that we face now, we were always going to face because of the legislation, which brought on the licensing and the operations really all at the same time. Now, we got a 6-month advance, thankfully, in some legislation where at least we could do the lottery ahead of time. And then we could make sure that people applied for and got the licenses. Originally, that was going to happen January 1st of this year. Imagine us doing all of those pieces. Instead of an idea where we could have created the cultivators first and started growing the product, the processors at the same time to process, and then the dispensaries. Really, the dispensaries are waiting on the other two. That's one that's a lot less work. I think most of our dispensaries now have their home address, are set about where they're going to be. But some of the inspections that have to happen in dispensaries, they have to have product that's there. So I do believe they'll be operating before the end of the year. I think everybody is working as hard and as fast as they can, but they're wanting to make sure they do it right as well. So that executive order is going to stay in place until the dispensaries are up and running that allow people to go to other states.
And lastly, sir, recent news breaking that KET has laid off 15 employees due to federal funding. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, KET's cuts are a direct repercussion of Republicans in the U.S. Congress going in and cutting funding that was otherwise appropriated in this last budget. It's something that's almost never been done before. After a bipartisan agreement of we'll fund this and we'll fund that, coming back, if you think you have the votes, and undoing that agreement and deciding that you're going to target public media. I hope everybody sees what it is, what it means, and who did it, because I believe in accountability. All right, on the line we have Aminkai Birbin from the Lexington Herald Leader. We'll come back. Tom Latek from Kentucky Today. I know Tom's there.
Oh, you can't get rid of me that easily, Governor. I want to follow up on the KET question. Is there any? Yeah. Is there anything the state can do to help make up the shortfall from the federal funds that have been cut from KET?
We'll see in this next budget. So, like I said, we are going to the consensus forecasting group to see if we're likely to have a shortfall this year. What that means is less revenue coming in compared to expenses in the current budget. I will tell you, in our next budget, we will have significantly fewer dollars than we did in our last budget. And that's, again, for the same two reasons. Number one, the income tax cut, I believe by the next budget, is going to cut about $600 million of revenue per year that was otherwise available. And then we see the federal tariffs, having a major impact on the economy and on the dollars that come in. So this next budget is going to have less revenue, and it's going to have $66 million in additional costs that the state is taking from the federal government for SNAP administration based on the big ugly bill. They threw $66 million there. We're going to have pressure to help fill the gap for NIH funding cuts from the federal government for research institutions like UK, U of L, and others. We're going to have pressure from natural disasters with, at least thus far, some approvals that aren't coming through. Do we have our own buyout program? We're going to have pressures about what we do to help support our rural hospitals, because the big ugly bill is cutting billions of dollars of revenue that's going into Kentucky healthcare, whose largest expense is personnel, meaning you cannot absorb that amount of cuts without ultimately firing people. So what this current Trump administration has done is take huge amounts of costs that the federal government used to cover under Democrat and Republican administration and thrown them all on the states, while at the same time pursuing an economic policy that's going to slow down growth and revenue in the United States, and a healthcare policy that's going to devastate rural America. So any of these questions about can we fill are going to be really tough questions based on huge numbers of needs that were unnecessarily hoisted upon us by the federal government, because this president inherited an economy that was really starting to boom. And I get that our families hadn't felt it yet, but we wouldn't be dealing with any of this without some very short-sighted and damaging policies. Isaiah Kim Martinez.
Hey, Governor. I wanted to ask about.
Oh, he
Hello, can
dropped
you hear me?
off. Yeah, you're back.
Thank you, Governor. Apologize for that. I wanted to ask about the buprenorphine regulation. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but the Board of Medical Licensure has the power to loosen those restrictions on this medication. Do you support that effort? Because I know a lot of doctors and folks in recovery do.
That's something that I'd want to talk to those individuals. They haven't brought that to me. The Board of Medical Licensure obviously has a number of practitioners on it. And then the cabinet has a number of advisory groups on different regulations that are there. Thankfully, we have a doctor that heads our Cabinet for Health and Family Services that we can also further discuss this with. I don't have a problem, though, in looking at regulations over time and just making sure that they are balanced and that they are meeting the needs of Kentuckians. So that's something that if a lot of our advocates for recovery who are doing amazing work think we need to take a look at, then at least we'll sit down and review it. Tracy Hotop from WLKY.
Thank you, Governor. My question is about the Louisville Regional Airport Authority. Today, they announced a record $12.8 billion in economic output between the airport and Bowman Field. Aside from the benefit that would obviously come to Louisville and Jefferson County, what does this mean for the rest of the state?
Well, it means that the Louisville Regional Airport is knocking it out of the park. It and frankly, Northern Kentucky's airport, which some people call the Cincinnati airport, but it's on our side of the river, are huge economic drivers in so many different ways. Most people don't know that the number one export from Kentucky is aerospace. And one of the reasons we're able to do that and manufacture so much is our logistics capabilities are second to none. You look at the enormous percentage of COVID vaccines that went anywhere in the world came through Louisville. We were there in time of crisis, helping countries around the world. You look at DHL and their headquarters in Northern Kentucky and Amazon's largest single investment, at least at the time, up there. I mean, we are a major player in the logistics industry and especially through the airline industry. But let me say that the Louisville Regional Airport has been doing a great job for a long time. It's an economic engine that helps so many different counties and businesses. You look at the new healthcare activities that are going on through UPS because of that airport. We've already announced a couple new businesses. I think we have a couple more to come. And these are high-tech, high-innovation, research-driven companies. It gives us the chance to have that next Microsoft of the future, that next great idea that starts here and knows that even when they start small, they can get what they need anywhere in the country or in the world very quickly. So very proud of that airport and everybody working there. Keep it up. And finally, Amber Denham from Spectrum News.
Hi, Governor. Amber Smith Denham here. I know you and Dr. Stack both already weighed in on vaccines in a bit more of an overview sense, but Spectrum News did have an interview with Rand Paul today where he said this direct quote, "There is no reason for a healthy 6-month-old to get a COVID vaccine. In fact, they can't prove that it helps at all." Is that something either of you would like to weigh in on?
Yeah. I just say that a COVID vaccine is not mandatory. And if we are having this talk about vaccine recommendations that are going through and you're throwing the COVID vaccine into that, you're just playing politics. I mean, you look at what Florida just announced. Now they're not just going to welcome kids into their schools. They're going to welcome measles and mumps and smallpox and polio, things that shouldn't be around anymore. And they are not because of vaccines. I mean, the use of the COVID vaccine, which is so over politicized because it is so well tested through so many people through a pandemic, the use of that to attack other vaccines is pure politics with zero science behind it. And I watch this administration try to figure out where they are on it. You know, the president, I think rightfully, talks about the success of Operation Warp Speed. His administration created a vaccine faster than ever in human history to help us out of a pandemic, and then turns around and blasts the vaccine and supports Secretary Kennedy firing a CDC director that's saying that that vaccine is safe. So what we need to do is just restore some sanity in all this. Recognize that doctors and scientists study this. We should rely on their advice. But putting the COVID one aside, I mean, the measles vaccine had wiped out one of the most transmissible viruses ever on the earth, and certainly in this country. And the idea we'd let it back in now is just silly. And if politics put our people at risk, well, people should really look at what politics those are and make sure they're not supporting it. Okay, so let's go back to the Herald Leader for our last question. Do we have Amin Kai? Okay, we'll make sure that we get that question. We'll get it responded to in writing. I think today I made sure I told everybody how I really feel about a number of things, and we'll see you back at the next Team Kentucky update. Be kind to each other, do good things. Remember, there are people around you that are hurting. In Recovery Month, make sure that if somebody reaches out to you saying they need help, that they get it. People care about you. We're ready to help, and there are so many people that have been through what you're going through that can guide you ultimately into recovery and a better life. Thank y'all.
In other news, Kentucky residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new website where any Kentucky